It's John Bowden from Rock History Music, and we go way back with Lou Gramm and his guitarist Don Mancuso to the band before Foreigner. That kind of sounded like Foreigner, Black Sheep. They are our special guests on Rock History Music. The band Black Sheep had Lou Gramm in the band. This is before Foreigner. He was known as Lou Grammatical back then. He shortened his name later on just to make it catchier and easier to remember. Don Mancuso was the guitarist. Black Sheep also had Larry Crozier on keyboards, Bruce Turgeon on bass, and Ron Rocco on drums. And on this clip, Don Mancuso talks about replacing the drummer with sort of a farmer named Mike Bonafide. And we're talking about a band that could have made it. They came really close, but it did open the doors for Lou Gramm and Foreigner on Rock History Music. Don Mancuso, now there's a guy who knows his guitar. He's best known as a longtime associate of Lou Gramm, the iconic lead singer of Foreigner. Mancuso was born and raised in Rochester, New York, and he began his musical journey in the 1970s, gaining recognition as a very talented guitarist with a knack for blending rock, blues, and melodic elements in his playing. Mancuso's career took off as he became a member of the band Black Sheep, which featured Lou Gramm on vocals. Black Sheep were one of the first American bands signed to Chrysalis Records, and they released 2 albums in the mid-70s. The group built a solid following before touring nationally in support of legendary acts like Argent, Peter Frampton, Hall & Oates, Kiss, and Ted Nugent. Although the band disbanded after a tragic equipment truck accident, Mancuso and Gramm maintained a close friendship and musical partnership. When Gramm embarked on a solo career in the 1980s, Mancuso was a natural choice to join his band, and he played on his first solo album, Ready or Not, in 1987. Beyond his work with Lou Gramm, Mancuso has been an active session musician and band leader. He released solo albums including D-Drive, and he's reunited with Lou Gramm for various tours and performances. What was the high point of that band where you thought maybe we'll catch a break here? Was there a time where I think a few lucky bounces with that band? That music was great. I love that music.
Oh, it was. It was definitely. It wasn't what the record companies were seeing selling though at the time. They were seeing up-tempo boogie, harder stuff with much more rigor to it than feel and groove. So we kind of lost out. It came around to our time on the wheel and we missed it.
Yeah. I think the rest of it I developed because I was hungry to be in the big time rock scene. I was bubbling under with Black Sheep. We had 2 albums. We were on our way, and tragedy struck. But it wasn't 3 months later that Mick called me, and I was in New York auditioning, and on our way to our first big album.
Well, the touring band, when you were like that, there's this thing about, and I see this a lot in music, where people will say, I'm going to pick that guy because I have history with that guy and I trust that guy. And I know what that guy's going to do before the show, during and after the show, and on the bus or whatever. Is that kind of a thing for you and Lou? I know he's not really doing a lot of shows anymore, but.
Yeah, he's semi-retired or retired. He just does like few shows a year, and just if it's something good that he can do easily, he'll do it. But yeah, that is what I'm basically Lou's what would you call it, like behind the curtain ally, that when he doesn't trust anybody else and he doesn't want someone to take advantage of him or to give him another thorn in his side while he's out playing, he calls me. Yeah. And he loves working with me. He enjoys it. I'm very laid back. I do what he wants. If I have a problem with it, I don't go nuts on him. I just mention it and he makes the decisions.
On Ready or Not, so you did the pre-production. I mean, you're credited on Wiki as doing one song and a guitar to one song, but you also did a lot of the pre-production stuff on. So how did that come about? Like, did you get kind of back in with Lou at that point, or?
Yeah, he had just gotten his own, I think it was a 2 or 3 album deal with Atlantic, and he wanted, his dream was to put together a real band of people that would collectively make the sound he wanted, and kind of make it more character than, oh yeah, we got the most famous people in the world that have never seen each other or played together on it type of thing, which he was in that circle. So he attempted to do that, but it didn't quite work out. He was having some issues and dragged his feet, and the record company had to step in and say, look, we've given you all this money up front. We want an album now. Whatever you got to do it. We're going to hire this producer. He's going to decide, what to do. And basically he went around, and they were so far behind, they wanted to get people with bigger names, credits like, Nils Lofgren and the other guitar player that was on Robert Palmer's hit at the time. To Love. I forget what was his name?
We can put it up. I'll look it up after.
Eddie Martinez.
Right.
Great guitar player. And, you can't blame him when they came to me and said, well, we're going to put you on one cut because you did so much work here, and Lou doesn't want to push you all the way off the album. But we're going to hire all these people and pray that it goes gold. And it did. So I was happy for him. Now, the tour didn't work out, but at least the album did well.
But how did you feel when people were lashing out at Lou like that? I mean, that's
not just, I couldn't believe it because, it's like everybody has good and bad days.
And it's not necessary.
Ups and downs in their life and their health. And if you can't understand it, then either you're too narrow-minded or you're too superficial, and you just want to be part of who's popular. It's you find out who your real friends and people that believe in you and really appreciated you are.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of your interviews. Usually if I haven't talked to someone, I'll go in the internet and I'll suss somewhat out, But I noticed I haven't heard anybody in the last few interviews ask you about, okay, so like you're growing up, you start doing this thing. Were your parents cool with you doing this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they had to actually okay me to leave high school about halfway through my senior year and go on tour with Black Sheep. They had to go in for the big meeting with the guidance counselors and the principals and tell them, look, he's got an opportunity. He says this is what he wants to do for the rest of his life. Either way, it could be a real good thing. And they allowed me to, just do my homework, show up with the homework when I was back in town. And then I was supposed to be at the graduation, but that didn't quite work out because we got a last minute opening act slot with the Sons of Champlain at the Buffalo Rose Garden. And it was like, Lou's like, you got to do this. He goes, I'll drive you in my Corvette. We'll get back really fast. You'll make it. We didn't make it. We ended up seeing the Sons, and my parents forgave me. The school didn't. We had to actually fight with them to get my my real degree for about a year, but it was only because they called my name and everybody was clapping and laughing because I wasn't there.
So were you known as, okay, in high school then? That's a question I ask a lot of people, but you must have been known as that guy then, that music guy.
Yeah, at that last, I was up to a point because all my friends that I played with were in high school, but then when I went into Black Sheep and they were the local legends, it was like, I actually lost half my friends and gained another half of my friends that were happy for me.
Well, by the way, going back to your parents, were they influenced? Because when you've got just a few years on me. I'm 60. You're older than me. I'm 62.
Yep.
And you don't have to say your age. But for me, at that age, when I was 15, for instance, in 75, when you were doing, the Black Sheep stuff, I was 15 in high school. My mother was listening to Bobby Bear, and now I listen to Bobby Bear. I got it back there. They were listening to fiddling music. What were your parents when you were doing this? What were they listening to? Were they listening to music at home?
They were listening to most of the popular Herb Albert,
Yeah.
any of the name musicians that were out on all the major labels that were scoring hits and great acts. So yeah, I was influenced, and I had a cousin that used to babysit me, who was about 5 or 10 years older than I am. And he used to have parties when he come to babysit, so I'd get all the new Rolling Stones, Beatles. Oh, there's a new band out. You got to check them out. Lovin' Spoonful.
Wow.
Got me into all the R&B and sent me on my way, and I was addicted.
Back in 75, like I said, I was 15. You would have been, I think, 17 or something. What kind of a guy were you back then? Like, what were you into? Would you tell that guy anything knowing what you know now? I know. What do you do, right?
I was pretty all over the map at that point. I knew I loved playing guitar, and I was playing with a bunch of friends, but the 17 to, I think it was like just before I got into Black. No, I was in Black Sheep at 17. So yeah, I was kind of on the drug train and alcohol train, and that's what everybody was doing then.
But that's a when in Rome thing when you're a rocker too. I mean, I always tell rockers, I don't want to make excuses for you, but on a lot of levels, it is a when in Rome thing.
Oh yeah, it is, and there's it was back then. It was also wildly socially acceptable, so it was a big thing. But I had to kind of pull myself out of that to do what I did with Black Sheep. They basically told me, you're a great musician when you're not high and drunk, and so if you can't chill out a little bit and get it under control, we're gonna have to get a new guitar player. I was like, nope, I'm on board. I can see the same pattern hitting me, and I don't want to end up like that. So.
Yeah. Remember, if you want to help the channel, there is a PayPal donation link at the very top of the description. You can join our Patreon and you will get early access to our videos. Also, pick up some swag, a Rock History Music coat, t-shirt, cap, a lot of other things on there. It helps support our channel. There's links at the very top of the description. Subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click the bell notification because YouTube's not always great on letting our subscribers know when we release a video. So click that bell notification. Comment on the videos, like them, and share them on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care.